Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TJ's Talk Show. I did notice I forgot to do a broadcast yesterday, so I apologize for that. But today we have a full slate on the show. Today we're going to stay in basketball. We'll start with the amateurs, the college ranks, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Portland Trailblazers who are in action tonight. So let's start off with the NCAA, and we're going to stay mainly here in the Pacific Northwest and the Oregon Ducks. They are right now the number 15 team in the country. Last week they were 21st, and they had a couple of big wins against number 2 UCLA. They won that game 89-87, and then they beat 22nd ranked USC 84-61, handling their business. Both were in Eugene. So Oregon moves to 2-0 on the conference schedule, 13-2 overall, and now they'll head on the road and go to Seattle to face potential number 1 draft pick Markelle Fultz and the Washington Huskies, who are 7-6 on the year, 0-1 in the Pac-12. They lost their opener against Washington State, 79-74. So this game will also be televised on ESPN2. That game is set to start about 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 Pacific. And let's just go in a little bit of breakdown here. So the Ducks, like I mentioned, coming off 2 big Pac-12 wins against UCLA and USC. UCLA has dropped to, I believe, 6 or 7 in the rankings, since they also beat the Beavers later in the week after losing to Oregon, and USC has dropped to 25th after losing to the Ducks and then beating the Beavers and losing to the Ducks. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this Washington State Husky team, since they are the 10-point underdog. And like I mentioned, potential first number 1 draft pick Markelle Fultz. He is a freshman, and he can absolutely fill it up. He is averaging 22.3 points a game, 6.4 rebounds a game, 6.7 assists. This guy can do just about anything you need him to do. He shoots nearly 50% from the field, 49.5% to be exact. He does struggle a little bit at the line, shooting 64.6%, but he does whatever he needs to do in order to get the ball in the hoop and try to get that Huskies offense rolling with that 22 points a game. Also, sophomore Noah Dickerson adds 12 points a game, leads the team in 8.7 rebounds a game. He shoots 52% from the field, nearly 53%, and shoots 78.7% from the free throw line. So the Huskies are really going to need a huge game out of Fultz and Dickerson, try to somewhat stop this really, really hot Oregon Ducks team, who are led by junior Dylan Brooks and Jordan Bell, also a junior. Dylan Brooks, 14.8 points a game, shooting 48% from the field and 75% from the line. He's going to have another big game, or he's going to need to have another big game. He's the guy who put the team on his back against UCLA in the Pac-12 opener and hit that off-balance three-pointer at the buzzer to give them the win. And he also added 28 points, I believe, against USC the other day over the weekend. So he's going to be that guy who needs to continue his production. Jordan Bell is going to have to keep doing what he does. He leads the team in rebounds per game, 8.1 rebounds a game. He also adds 10.4 points a game. He's shooting a great 57.8% from the field and 74% from the charity stripe. So Oregon's going to continue to do what they do, which is play really good defense and try to turn the ball over, or try to force turnovers, I should say. And they're not going to try to turn the ball over and give Washington any extra chances to score. This game should be fairly interesting, even though the records and the spread doesn't really say so. Oregon 13-2 on the season, Washington 7-6. But, UW averages 85 points a game compared to Oregon 79. So this game should be high scoring, you would think, at least theoretically. Fultz is going to have his hands full, and he's going to have a lot of attention on him at all times. UW allows 80 points a game, so they're a +5 in their scoring differential, where Oregon is at 64 points allowed per game. So, Oregon plays a little bit better defense. They're a lot more efficient on the defensive end. UW shoots the ball a little bit better throughout a game. UW 48% from the field to Oregon's 46%. Oregon and UW also very even in the rebounds category. Oregon with 40 a game and UW with 39.8 on their averages. So about 40 rebounds a game for both teams. So whoever can crash the offensive glass and get those second chance points, I think will really pull away, or at least Oregon would pull away. Washington would keep it close in that aspect if they can crash the boards and get a lot more offensive rebounds. Oregon spreads the ball around. They got 16.9 assists per game. UW and Fultz passes the ball very well, 6.7 assists per game for Fultz. UW goes 14.7 assists per game. So this game should be very exciting. The ball should be moving around a lot. Fultz will not only score, he will try to get his teammates involved, including Dickerson with those 12.5 points a game. And Dickerson will need to be that low post presence. He is averaging 8.7 rebounds a game, and I'm assuming he will play a huge part in protecting that interior, and UW will need a huge interior presence, especially on the defensive end with blocks and steals, where UW averages 6.9 blocks a game and 6.4 steals a game. So they're going to have to really force some turnovers and push the envelope against this aggressive Ducks offense. And on UO's end, that sounds weird. On the Duck end, they're going to have to go they have 7.7 blocks a game, so they're going to be competitive around the dish. And they also average 6.1 steals a game, so this game will be very competitive. I think Oregon runs away with it, though. There's just too much balance on this Oregon offense. And, Markelle Fultz will not be able to just hold up and do whatever he wants all game long. I think you can contain him, but he's a potential number 1 draft pick in this upcoming NBA draft, who's averaging 22 points a game, and a mediocre Washington team in a really good Pac-12 conference. So he's going to have a big game. I think he's going to need a bigger game than he's ever produced in his young career. Only 13 games in. He is a freshman, so this will definitely put some bright lights on him. And I mentioned this game will be on ESPN2 here in a few hours. This game will start at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific. And now let's go ahead and talk about the Portland Trail Blazers, since they're in action tonight. I haven't talked about them in a while. They got a big win against Minnesota on New Year's. Started the new year off right. Didn't allow 100 points. Looks like they were playing a little bit better team defense moving forward. They are a 16-point favorite, or underdog. Underdog. They are not favored to beat the Golden State Warriors, who are 30-5 in Golden State, by the way. This game will be on ESPN starting at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. And Damian Lillard, the all-star point guard, all-star snubbed point guard for the Blazers, is doubtful for tonight's game. Still healing that ankle injury. This will be his 5th missed game in a row if he does not play, and I wouldn't believe they try to push him back into action sooner rather than later, because you need him throughout the full course of a season, and you don't want to push him back early to make this game competitive. And so CJ McCollum, the 2-guard who has been taking over most of the point guard roles, will need to once again pick up the slack for his splash brother, who will be missing in action. CJ McCollum averaging 22.9 points a game, 3.7 assists a game, shoots 48% from the field, 43% from deep, and 90% from the free throw line. He is going to have an absolutely monster game, I think, if he wants to really keep this game semi-close. I don't think they're going to be within the spread of 16 points. I think Golden State's going to run away with it. But CJ McCollum's going to need another 30, 40-point game and a lot of help from Mason Plumlee and company, because CJ McCollum can't do everything, and especially with that star-studded lineup the Warriors have, McCollum will not be able to win 5-on-1 or even 4-on-1. And so Mason Plumlee, who adds 11.1 points a game and 7.5 rebounds, and he also, without Lillard, Mason Plumlee leads the team in assists, which as a center is a good thing, but also a bad thing. You shouldn't have to rely on your center to set people up around the floor. That's got to be McCollum's job, Shabazz Napier's job, Alan Crabb's job. Obviously, when Lillard's healthy, it's his job. Lillard is averaging 6 assists a game. So he's doing his job. But Mason Plumlee leading the team right now with Lillard being out at 4.2 assists per game. He's going to need quite a few more assists than he would like to have and a lot more points than he's usually accustomed to scoring. Mason Plumlee also shoots 56% from the field. He's really going to have to increase that tonight. He's got to be very effective from the floor. He's got to be able to hit that 18-foot jump shot on the pick and pop and the pick and roll. And he's got to be able to capitalize at the free throw line. He is shooting 55% from the line at the moment of the season, and he really needs to have a really big game, I think, to even make this game somewhat close. I think it'll end up being a snooze fest by the end of the third quarter, and Golden State will be running away with it, and their big four won't be playing a whole lot of the fourth quarter. Now let's go ahead and talk about the Golden State Warriors and their big four. Leading the way, Kevin Durant at 25.7 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 53% from the field, 39 from deep, and 86 from the free throw line. This guy, who was the most sought-after free agent, has basically come on this team and forced himself to be the number one option. You can see he's got a 25 points per game, which is better than Steph Curry, better than Klay Thompson, better than Draymond. He made himself the number one option on this spread-out offense, and I don't see why he shouldn't have been the number one scoring option. He shoots a very good clip from the field, 53%. Can shoot the three ball with decent enough efficiency that you have to go out on him, which then he can burn right by you for an easy dunk. And then his, the 1B option, I guess you could say, Steph Curry right behind him at 23.9 points a game, 5.8 assists, shooting 46.5% from the field, 40% from deep, and the typical 94% from the free throw line. Steph Curry gets his, and then he dishes the ball. I would expect him to have a little bit more assists with so many options, but we also know his limitless range. You could shoot basically from half court and make it at a normal rate. Gets his, and he has his 6 assists a game pretty much, and that's how it goes. Third in the scoring would be Klay Thompson at 21.7 points a game, shooting 40. He doesn't really contribute. I think he gets 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Those are pretty much his other stats. He's pretty much a hot and cold shooter. He's been hot of late with that 21 points a game. Shoots 47 from the field, 39 from deep, and 89 from the charity stripe. And then who I consider probably the best player on this team, and this might sound weird, but he's the most complete player, is Draymond Green. 10 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 7.5 assists, which leads the team, by the way, in both categories. Well, he's 0.1% or 0.1 rebound behind Durant for the team lead in rebounds a game. But 8.6 and 7.5 assists, 45 from the field, 33 from deep, and 67%. I don't think this game's going to be close whatsoever. Golden State's defense is phenomenal. They allow 43% field goal percentage from their opponents and 32 from deep, which is a league best, and Portland is a league worst or second to worst in three-point percentage. So this game's going to be a snooze fest, and I am almost out of time. Holy smokes, this 15 minutes flew by quickly. So that game's on ESPN tonight. I am TJ Prenda. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you tomorrow.